Okay, welcome everyone. Chris Petri here. Thanks so much for coming by. We're actually really excited. We're going to do a still life painting with flowers and fruits, vegetables. We're going to have a duck decoy as well. This is in the style of Charles Reed. Many of you that follow me for a long time, you know Charles Reed is one of my favorite artists of all time. And so we're going to kind of create something that is always in his repertoire when he was painting for many, many years. I was just very fortunate to be able to attend his workshops as well and study with him. So this is going to be a real fun painting. We're going to kind of go through the steps of starting out with your preliminary sketch, drawing. And then once you have your drawing completed, then we can get right in and start using our fresh, moist paints here. And we're going to do this painting alla prima, which means everything at one time. So you don't have to worry about too many different steps as far as your process of painting this painting. Is basically going in, and we're going to start right here in the center of the painting, basically, and get in our darkest darks, which are our green leaf forms. And we start to develop from there, and we go out and work into the other parts of the painting. You'll see how straightforward this is and how fun it is. So glad you're here. Really happy you're coming by to paint with me and all of us here on YouTube. And we'll see you in just a second where we're gonna get everything all started. And you'll see that we have everything covered, all the steps, you know, A to Z, the whole enchilada, everything covered here on this video, so that you don't have to have any guesswork. You can create this painting step by step as we go. Okay? All right, we'll be right back. All right, so we just saw the finished painting, and we're going to actually start our contour drawing. First thing I like to do is just establish my outer perimeter of my rectangles. So I'm just going to go right around my paper like so. And I'll come down here like this. I'll come across like this. And we'll go up like this. Like that. And I'm going to be working from the table that's right across from me. So I have a table set up right in front of my art table here that I use for when I'm creating videos. So what I'll do is I'm going to probably be looking mostly at my table that I have set up, the still life here, which is the lemon, apples, flowers, and a duck decoy. So what I'll do is I'll use this, you know, basic bit of subject matter here to create our painting that we're going to do. So I won't be, you know, incredibly worried about maybe every single bit of detail that along the outer perimeters of this, because I'm just trying to get the essence of this here. So what I'll do is I'll just start out and I'll sort of basically get the flower pot is the center here. This is the center of the drawing, the flower pot. So I want to get the bottom of the flower pot in there, like this. And once I have that, then I can, again, we'll do a light preliminary sketch first, then we'll go over with a darker drawing on top of that. If you find that you do a preliminary sketch and it looks good, and you don't need to do much changes or anything, then you can just go ahead and paint right over it. It's up to you, though. If you want a darker pencil line, you can go over this a second time with a darker pencil line. I'll probably go over this too with a darker pencil line because I want you to see the finished drawing really well. I know sometimes it's hard to see the pencil lines when we're doing videos. So I'll actually put on this other light over here. Hopefully that adds a little more light to this. And okay, so let's come over. I'm going to go over here. here. I'm just going to go slowly as I go. Both apples there. Okay, and then I tend to like to start in the center here with the flowers most times. And I'm just going around carefully here now. We're going to come to one of the flowers here. Okay, and then under here there's another flower. That one got a little bit compressed under there. I'm actually going to go across maybe. I'll just leave it as it is. I'm not going to make a big deal of it. I think that could have been, I could have set this up a little bit better, this still life, but we'll continue on here. And a lot of green leaf forms, so I'm not going to that might be good, I think, for the leaf forms in here. That's good. Then we're going to do our duck decoy, and I'm going to see that the tail is up here and it comes down like that. Then it comes across here. Then we have the other lemon here. Okay, we have the other lemon here, this here. There's some shadowing there. And some shadowing here too. So I'm going to put the shadows under the fruit and lemon. And then I'm going to try to pick up the duck decoy up here. And then if I look, I kind of usually use my pencil. I'll look across from me and I'll take my pencil and I'll hold it up and look at my subject matter in front of me, or you can use this too, and you can say, okay, here in this picture, the lemon, the very edge of this lemon here is about where the back of the head is of this duck decoy. So I'm going to look, it might be a little different where my table is across from me, so I'm going to use my table, and that's about where it is too. So the back of the head of the duck decoy is actually about where the lemon is. The edge of this edge of the lemon here, the very, very end point of the lemon. So I'll make a little dot there and just say, okay, now I know I have to start my duck decoy head here. And I go down. Like that. And then that. And then I see that maybe I need to erase this line a little bit. I think I want to get this a little more straight, like this. Like that. I think that looks pretty good. And then there's a slight crease there where the bill is. And then the eyes about here. And then there's a white spot on the duck's bill there. And then here there's another bit of coloring on the duck's decoy's back. And then there's another bit of color there too. It's like a dark blue, like a navy blue, ultramarine blue. And I think that looks pretty good. So we have, and I'll put the table back here, the edge of the table back here, and then you can always, just to kind of keep things looking pretty even and sort of lined up across the picture, I'm going to take that level line for the back of the table and put it back here too, just so I have it somewhat looking pretty good across the back of the table like that. And I think this looks pretty good. I'm not going to really get too much more. I might just take a little more time and make a few more details here. So there's another stem here on the top of this apple. And there's a bit of shadowing under here for the duck decoy. And I think that's it. I think that's what, the basics of what we're looking at, the essence of this photograph. I think I've done it dark enough that you can kind of see everything pretty good. So the next part's going to be the fun, painting, right? We're going to actually get some beautiful colors here going on our painting. And that's the fun part about watercolors, is you get to use all of your paints, your different colors you like to use in different mixes. Some of you like to maybe mix things a little more, intricate with different, mixtures of grays in with your colors. Some of you like to go straight paint, but we have our palette here. So we're going to use our standard palette that we use all the time here on my channel. And we will do that in just a second. What I'll do is when we come back, I'll actually reset everything up while we're on camera, so you can kind of see how I'm going to set up my table, because it looks usually awkward if I just do it off camera and then you see the next scene is the whole thing changed around. I'll kind of try to show you how I set up my table as we go. So I'll just set this down here right now carefully, and we'll be right back. So we're going to move our table around a little bit, and maybe I'll zoom out just a bit. Hopefully I don't lose my focus here on my camera if I zoom out a little bit. Let's see. There we go. I can do that. I can zoom out. That's all right. So I'll move this up here, and I'll move that to the side. I'm going to have to lift this up and slide this over to the right a little bit. Then what I'm going to do is, I think I did have this on the right-hand side. So I want to have this in the camera, in view. So I zoom back in. And this needs to be here, approximately there. Like that, so you can see the photograph. And then this here, we want to get this in the picture, our palette, so we need to zoom back even a little more. There we go. All right, I think that should be fine. We could slide that up a bit there, and this over a little bit there. Yeah, that should be good. So that's how I'm setting everything up on camera live for you. This way, if you're deciding to make some YouTube videos of your own and get out onto the YouTube or any other, there's lots of other applications and social media sites that you can put your videos on if you want to start creating your own art videos. If you feel that you want to branch out, maybe do something different, it's not too difficult actually. There's tons of great videos out there on how to do your own videos. And of course, I can always, if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section, or you send me an email if you need more information. If you decide you want to create your own art videos, there's been quite a few people that have been following me for a number of years, and they went ahead and they started doing their own videos, and they look really fantastic. So there's a couple people that I know I saw that eventually they were on my, you know who you are out there. I know there's a few of you that have your own YouTube channels now, and you do a great job doing beautiful paintings and putting them up onto YouTube. So I'm really happy. I'm always watching those videos myself. And let's get started here. So we have our paints ready to go. We'll get some fresh, clean water. I'll pour some fresh, clean water into my water bucket. I use basically a collapsible container like this for my water bucket. And then sometimes I'll have a sponge here I put right next to the water bucket. I can take some water off the brush when I rinse off the brush. So this way I dampen the sponge with some water, and then I set it next to the water container. And this way, you can just tap on the brush. You can rinse your brush off and then tap onto the sponge a little bit. Take off some of that water. We wouldn't want floods of water in our palette. So if we never check off some water on a sponge or tissue or a paper towel, then that winds up, we have too much water floating around in our palette as well as in our mixing areas here on our palette. So always be careful of how much water do you have in your brush. That's a big part of watercolor, is knowing how to sort of keep that brush with the right amount of water and right amount of paint. So I'm going to start out in the center of the picture here, and I'll get some blue and some green and some brown. And I'm just going to start getting in some darks here. I know there's some bit of darks there. And so I'm just using a Charles Reed number 8 travel brush to get in some of these first bit of leaf forms. Maybe some raw umber. Maybe some cadmium lemon yellow. So let's change up our colors if we can. A little bit of French ultramarine blue and green. So I'm trying to do the most quick and easy, straightforward way of creating a painting, alla prima method. So if you have followed me for some time, you know I usually use either the alla prima method or the glazing technique. And basically this is the alla prima, which I'm going in and getting the darks in first. And that's the first thing I'm going to tackle as I go, the darks first. And I think this is looking pretty good. Olive green with a little bit of the cadmium lemon yellow. Some of these leaf forms up here might be a little more lighter in value. These are sort of more in shadow under here. We're going to have a few stems in here working for us. And then as we go, we're going to start to think about, we have some flower shapes. So I'm going to take some alizarin crimson, rose madder, And I want to get some of those flower shapes in there. And there's some more of that pink, alizarin crimson, and rose madder. Flower shapes there, petals of the flowers. And then I like to darken it up, give it some tonal value changes so that everything doesn't look all the same. That looks pretty good. I'm going to let that go for now. And basically I try to mix up the colors as I go, right on the paper. French ultramarine blue, raw umber. And you can kind of see there's a lot of leaf forms in this painting. I do a couple bits of splashing just to loosen things up a little bit. A little bit of cerulean blue in my colors. That's one of my favorite colors, so cerulean blue, if I add it in here and there, then I can splash a little bit of that cerulean blue too as well in the painting. Okay, and there's a metal vase here. We have a metal vase, so I'm just going to try to get some color onto that. Maybe there's some gold and green. There's some green there. I'm going to put some green and yellow. Just a little bit there. Reflection colors from that apple there, that green apple. I think that's going to have some green apple color there. That looks pretty good. Then let me go right in and get some cerulean blue and yellow ochre or raw sienna. A little bit of French ultramarine blue maybe too as well. I'm just going to get a bit of a shadow there. Like that. And then let's do one more thing. Let's keep going here. Let's do the green apple. Yellowish green apple there. So that's some cadmium lemon yellow or cadmium yellow lemon. I'll get lots of that. Maybe a touch of some olive green, and let me look at that. Sort of use some raw umber too, some raw umber there just to get a little bit of a change in tonal value along the top there. And a little more green and yellow. That looks pretty good. A little bit of a reflected light there, and then another bit of shadowing under there. Just a little bit of shadow under the apple, green apple. And try to mix around a little bit of color in there. All right, let's take a quick break now. So we kind of got a really good start out of the gates here, off the blocks, so to speak. We have a good amount of information painted in right in the center of our painting, and that's really excellent. We kind of want to start in the center of our painting and then work our way out from there. That tends to be a really great plan. If you're painting watercolors, if you can paint in the central location of your paper first and then work your way out, it's kind of a great way because you can take breaks as you go, and then as things set up and dry a little bit, you have an advantage. You can start marrying things up together as you go, and you won't have too much of a problem of things kind of getting out of control with things bleeding into different areas and blossoming and blooming and the cauliflowers, all those different things that you hear people talk about with watercolor. So that's what we're going to avoid. We're going to let this dry and set up a little bit, take a quick break, maybe for 10-15 minutes, and believe it or not, 10 or 15 minutes will actually help this to dry a little bit, and we will do that. We'll get this to dry a bit for ourselves, and then we're going to be happier because then we can come back in and start painting again, and we will have a little bit of and I'll put a little bit of this red, alizarin crimson, and rose madder just to have some colors sort of mixing and mingling throughout this bouquet. So I kind of took some artist liberty and said, let me just add some color, even though I didn't necessarily have to draw in a flower. Maybe they're behind a little bit. Maybe they're in the back of the bouquet on the other side, and we're just seeing a little bit of the color, but that's kind of good to do once in a while. Just we take a leap of faith and add some things in that are going to have a fitness payoff for us. A payoff for us as far as the way the painting is going to look when we're finished. And that should be good. All right, so let's come back after this dries a few minutes, maybe 10-15 minutes. If you want to take a blow dryer and maybe blow dry a little bit of the painting off a bit, that's okay too. But I think if you let it dry naturally for 10 or 15 minutes and you come back, you'll find that it's going to be fine and you'll be able to work splendidly with this. So let's come back in a second and we'll continue working. All right, so we're going to continue getting our paints on the paper here, and I think what we're going to do next is let's take some French ultramarine blue and some ultramarine violet, purple and blue. I'm gonna actually change my water for my water bucket. I always tend to change the water in my bucket every time I take a break. Usually I do change the water out in my bucket, and I don't put a lot of water in my collapsible water container, really. Maybe just like an inch or two on the bottom of it, and that's all I need really. And so we have some Maybe some cobalt blue too, here. And I'm going to start doing I'm going to start painting in the duck decoy. And I'll get a little bit of burnt umber there too, maybe a little bit of burnt sienna. Maybe for that shadow area there, that's a little bit darker there. A little bit of more French ultramarine blue. So don't be afraid to get those darker colors in there. And then some purple here. And that is the white dot we see there. We're going to leave that. And if for some reason you think you can always go off of your pencil lines if you think you know. I think I can see the angle better now like this. So I guess I'm kind of warmed up a little bit more now. So what we'll do is we'll erase that later, that little bit of that underside of the beak of the duck decoy. So if you see a better angle, you can paint and change as you go. You can paint something different than what your pencil line is. You can just change the course, and then you can erase that pencil line once the painting is 100% dry, like the next day or a day or two. It could be a problem trying to erase this when there's any kind of dampness on the paper. Okay, so that's looking okay, and put a bit of color there just to and then a little bit of shadow under here too. So I'm just doing some shadowing on the duck decoy there, like so. And then we're going to go in and get some more of that French ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, and we'll set right there with some of that feathers that are a little darker. Like that. And up here too, there's some darker feathers up there. That kind of blends in with that a little bit. That looks good. And then we can also go back over here and we'll do the tail of the duck decoy. Like that. And if you think you need to add a little more tail feathers, you can do that. And there's again some more shadowing over here. just get some of that. A little bit of shadowing under there for the duck decoy there. And then we can start getting our lemon in. Let's do some cadmium lemon yellow. Right in there, right in the bottom of the lemon, cadmium lemon, or just cadmium yellow actually. And then we can we'll use some cerulean blue and a little bit of raw sienna, maybe a little bit of that shadow color here. Let's get a shadow color here. And we'll get it right into the bottom of the lemon, fuse it all together at one time. That always tends to look really good. Sort of fusing in the shadow to the underside of that lemon area. And then we can take our cadmium lemon yellow, get some of that, like that. And I will leave a highlight there, like so. You could even take a tissue or some paper towel and blot a little bit of highlight on there too as you go. And then you have the lemon completed. You can add a little dark. I would add that dark at the back of the lemon. Maybe we could try it a little bit here. Probably better to let that dry, the lemon dry, and then you can add in that darker dark over there on the back, that stem from the back of the lemon. Then we're going to do, let's come over here and, well, let's get this shadow in first here. There's a shadow along the bottom of this decoy there. A little bit of a shadow there too. And then we can get in our red apple. A little bit of burnt umber there, and a little bit of blue, a little bit of green. Olive green might work. Just to kind of gray down a little bit there, make it a little darker. Red delicious apple. A little bit darker on the bottom of the apple here. Then as we go up, we can lighten that up a little bit. Maybe a little bit of cadmium red there. And some rose madder. A little bit of green there in the center. Then I would think we should get some cerulean blue, a little bit of purple, and we'll get our shadow right in the bottom there. Okay, that looks pretty good. And there's a little bit, I'm going to use the tissue. And maybe just lighten up a couple spots there. Okay, so I think we're really I'll put a little bit of yellow into the eye here of the decoy. I'll darken that up just a little bit there. And I think that is looking pretty good. I don't think we're going to need a lot more here to finish off the painting. I think a little bit of shadowing along the table back here will help us to kind of make sure we make a note here on the paper with some paint that we do have the edge of the table here. And we can kind of just get a bit of color on there. We can take a tissue. Once you get a little bit of color on the paper, a little light wash, you can always blot up a little bit. And what that does is it does leave a little bit of a light wash along that bit of paper there on the left-hand side over here. And we can do the same thing over here. We can add some different colors. You can add in your own color mixes if you want, just to give it a little bit of some shadow colors. And you can use some colors that you have left over. You can blot up a little bit if you think you went too much dark with a color or a wash. You can blot up a lot if you want. I'd be very careful around the duck decoy at this point. I'll move this over just a little bit. I would be very careful because I do notice there is some paint still drying there on the duck decoy bill. So if you want to add a little bit of wash over here, fine. I would just be careful not to go too close. If you see some washes where you still have some puddles or really wet washes left, try to let those go. Don't worry about those. Here we can come back over and work on a little more of our stems. So I have some stems here. So I'll do a little bit of the stems here, like that. You can blot up a little bit too if you want. If it's too wet, you can come back in and get those stems in at another time if you would like. But I think overall this looks pretty good. So I'm pretty happy we kind of got this still life painting done in good time. We didn't take too much time to create this painting. I think we did the most important thing was getting our drawing in first, our contour drawing. Once you get your contour drawing in, you're really home free. Then it's just a matter of having fun with the paints, enjoying the process, the watercolor process, and I think this is a finished painting. So I'm really thrilled you're here painting along with us here on my channel. Please subscribe on the right hand side below if you haven't subscribed. This way you just keep a track of what we're doing here on a constant basis. If you're subscribing on the right hand side below and you click those notification bells, the top bell, there's like 3 bells there. If you click the top bell when you subscribe, all that will do is just YouTube will send you out just a notification that I've created a new video, and that's it. There's nothing, there's no gimmicks, there's no, emails or telephone calls or text messages. I know that can be a real problem these days. Anytime you sign up for something, it's like you get emails and phone calls and all that kind of thing. But that's not what this is about. YouTube is very efficient. They like to just let you, if you like my channel, you like my content, you like my painting, what they're going to do is YouTube will just kindly send you a little notification. So the next time you open up YouTube and you're searching around, you'll just see that you'll see my video on your screen just saying that I've created a new video. And this way you can click on if you want to follow along and watch and see what we're doing. We're always doing new subject matter, everything watercolor here on my channel. So it's all dedicated to watercolor painting, drawing and painting in watercolors. So I'm glad you're here, that you joined along on this video. And if it's your first time, I really want to thank you for coming by. We're always happy to see you here. We have thousands of people here that get together every week and we work on our watercolors. We draw, we paint, we do still lifes like this. We do landscape paintings, we do boats, and we do seascapes and ocean paintings. We do some figure painting. We do everything. We mix it all up and we do it in watercolor every time. So glad you're here. Glad you're going to make a start. If it's your first time and you think you're going to start watercolor painting, you come to the right place at the right time. I have a lot of other videos too, labeled Extreme Beginners. So if you click on the Extreme Beginners series videos that I have also, you'll see some archives that I have, quite a few, maybe 100 or more. And those are all really extreme beginner type videos where you're going to learn the very basics of everything using some very simple, basic, inexpensive art tools like inexpensive brushes and paints and paper. And I go over the real fundamentals of things when you're starting out, so you don't get too overwhelmed in the beginning with too much information and having to research all kinds of things. You just get some simple tools, some simple brushes and a palette, and you're ready to go. Okay, so thanks again. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.